Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Never Wrong Maybe Right show. Thrilled to be with you guys here today. So today is the week 8 NFL gambling show. Let me share my screen. Present, you know the drill, present the slideshow. So we're gonna max bottom right here for our screen. Appreciate the patience for the slight lack of content this week. Been a bit busy with schoolwork and other things going on this week. But that being said, I we'll have our Monday recap of NFL, of course. We'll have NBA on Wednesday for sure this upcoming week as well. Just trying to get back in the groove of things and kind of trying to figure out the schedule with NBA in season as well. So without further ado, let's get right into it. But before we do that, I do want to briefly touch on the Bills Buccaneers game on Thursday. The Bills ended up winning 24-18. Josh Allen actually had a phenomenal game. Aside from the one kind of to a degree fluky interception, played really well overall, had over 300 total yards, 3 total touchdowns. Khalil Shakur was the number one receiver, 6 for 92 yards in that game. But overall, a balanced offensive attack. 4 players had over 65 receiving yards. Really diversifying the offense there. The Buccaneers, they were okay at the start, but in the late second and all the third, pretty much they just stalled out on offense. They could not move the ball at all. The protection started to weaken, and then the pocket was collapsing. Baker had to make something out of nothing. He was fine, threw for 230, 2 touchdowns, but almost like if you're watching the game, it just felt like a weak 230. He didn't really have any explosive plays aside from the one touchdown at the end of the game that really kind of like caught your eye. Particularly because there was 10 something minutes left, I believe, in the game when they got the ball back down 14 points. Let me double check actually when they first got this. So they got the ball back with 10 minutes left at their own 8-yard line. False start. So they're at their own 4-yard line, 96 yards away down 14. You cannot take a 7-minute drive, 7.5-minute drive. You just throughout that drive, they were way too lackadaisical. I get it. They got 2 fourth-down penalties that extended the drive, and then a fourth-down lucky touchdown off of a helmet. But regardless, you cannot afford to waste that much time because what happens when you get the ball back? You have basically no option, right? You just gotta sideline Hail Mary, which the best part of this whole thing is he actually rarely do you see a Hail Mary be thrown to the middle of the end zone, and the first thing it touches is the ground. Chris Godwin, if he was looking for the ball, probably should have caught it, and the game would have been over, and they would have won. So I'm not a big fan of pass interference penalties at the goal line unless it's like egregious. Looks like it's just so ticky tacky. On those particular type of plays. But having said that, I wonder why didn't Chris Godwin turn for the ball? Because if he did, there's an opportunity to make a catch there and then go from there. But you win the game. But nonetheless, that falls incomplete. The Buccaneers fall to 3-4. After starting out 2-0, they're now 1-4 in the last 5 games. A little bit disappointing there. When the Bills get back on the winning train next week, the Bills have the Bengals, which will be a good game actually, really a game. And then the Buccaneers have hopefully the Panthers or something like that. The Texans, they were actually not as easy, not a pushover like we would have thought at the start of the year. So that should be a good game too. Nonetheless, now that that's out of the way, let's get right into our show. So, as we always do, we'll start with what happened last week. The Raiders -2.5 over the Bears. Guys, Tyson Badgett had a 24-point lead in the fourth quarter. What was I watching? This was the third most popular pick, and that's partly why I probably didn't hit. This is the third most popular pick of over 70% in the entire betting in terms of the NFL this past weekend. How in the world did this happen? I have no idea. Extremely disappointed with what transpired. It wasn't even competitive. They never had a chance. They missed an opening field goal, and then it's just lights out from there. The Raiders are awful. They won 3 games so far. They're 3-3, but their 3 wins are against the Broncos, Patriots and Packers, who have a combined 5 wins, I believe, if I did that math correct. Patriots 2, Broncos 2. No, combined 6 wins through. So we've played 7 NFL weeks. There's a combined 6 wins on the teams they beat. Just horribly pathetic. And so something needs to be changed there. I believe it's a coaching change personally and a quarterback change. Because Brian Hoyer, I mean, it's just that would. I'm always a believer in you got to see what you got. You know what Brian Hoyer is, and you know you're not going to win it all this year. See if Aiden O'Connell can give you a spark, and maybe he's the next, Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, just something. I'm not saying he is by no means at all, but just like maybe he's a viable option. Maybe he's a Matt Stafford type guy. Like you never know. But if you don't play him, you're not going to get a chance to see. Through 3 picks again, I'm almost positive Raiders lead the league in interceptions this year thrown, which is terrible. So that one never had a chance. Next one, the 49ers -7. Again, guys, there's something off with. I get yeah, he's in the protocol now with concussion, but that doesn't excuse the defense. The defense is playing lights out at the start of the year, and it's 7 points to the Steelers, 10 points to the Cowboys. I can look too. I don't even remember, but I know it was good. What it was against the other teams. I think it was 16 to the Cardinals. 16 to the Cardinals. Have they played the Seahawks yet? I forget. What the heck? 12 to the Giants, 23 to the Rams. I mean, defense was playing lights out, and then it just could not get the stops when it needed to get a stop. And the offense, I get it, Deebo Samuel's out, but that doesn't excuse just the lack of efficiency, right? We were talking about 30, 30, 35, 42, and then 17 and 22, or 17 and 17 in back-to-back weeks is not going to cut it. Something's got to be changed over there. I don't know what it is, but it's got to be changed. And what something that will change is I will not be betting on the Niners this week. I'll tell you that much. Chargers +5.5. Patrick Mahomes is so darn good. Consistently, this guy just continues to run through the AFC West like it's nobody's business. I gotta check. I gotta double check Patrick Mahomes' division record, but it's absurd. In the AFC West, he has never lost. I know this is a home game. I get it, but he has never lost a road playoff game or road division game, which is unbelievable. How that works in career. Patrick Mahomes in his career, 29-3 in the AFC West. The win percentage on that is 91% win percentage in the AFC West. Absurd. One of those losses was to the Raiders at home in week 5 a couple years ago. One of the losses, I don't think he played. So I don't know if that counts it, but they lost to the Chargers in week 18 a couple years ago when they were 14-1. And then he's never lost to the Broncos. I know that. So it must have been the Chargers at some point again on at home. I forget what it was. But anyway, Chargers were competitive. They were in it at the start. That fell through, obviously. This next game was a battle of 2 terrible teams, Broncos and Steelers. Broncos and Packers. They both suck. Jordan Love, I was actually very high on at the start of the year. They started out 2-0 and just fell completely off the cliff. Or were they 1-1? I forget. But regardless, they started out overall looking decent and then they just fell off a cliff. Will not be betting on them again. I can assure you that. Then for Russell Wilson, Sean Payton, they get their win in. Congrats to them. Steelers +3 against the Rams. Got a legacy call by the refs. What in the world were they looking at? This might be an unpopular opinion, but this is why I actually truly like officials and not laser sensors or because I thought about it and I was like, what if they just put laser sensors over the field so you can sense where the ball is and you put a chip in the ball and you can sense exactly track it immediately or within seconds where exactly the ball reached and first down, not first down, touchdown, not touchdown, etc. But I thought I get it. It sucks when it's against your own team. I feel like it's just part of the game. It's part of human element to have human error. Like if players are allowed to make bad throws, make bad reads, make mistakes, I feel like officials should be able to too. Now if it's against the Raiders, that's not allowed. But if no, I'm kidding. But if it's like, I just feel like it's fun when there's not fun, but it's just it creates a sense of realness when there is bad calls. I feel like that's just part of sports. Is like, bad, was that PI? Was that not PI? Was that a bad spot? Was that a good spot? Was that a foul? Was that not a foul in NBA? Was that a strike? Was that not a strike in MLB? Like all sorts of stuff. I just feel like it's part of the human element of the game. And if you take that away, it'll just be like, oh, well, the censor says so, so you're automatically out, when it's like, I don't know. I prefer it to be like how it is. I like how it is. Our survivor pick. And guys, we are money on the survivor, and we are still saving all of our good teams. I love it. Lock, guys. I don't know. We'll get to the lock later in our overall the season of the lock. It's been horrendous. It's like it's hard to replicate what I've been doing so far. For the lock. And our dogs, guys, he hasn't found the end zone in 6 games so far. They're not even giving him the ball, and he turns one for 21 yards. The Raiders got smoked. Josh Jacobs never had a chance, and Brian Robinson had 1 catch for 1 yard. If I remember correctly, because I know it didn't hit. I know that. Sorry, let me find. I want to make sure. I think it was just 1 catch for 1 yard, like at the very start of the game. No, it was 1 target at the start of the game. That's what it was. It might have been like the first play of the game too. Let's see. The Commanders' first drive was not on that one. Was it second drive? I don't know. Whatever. I know he had 1 target. That was it. Yeah, we'll get to the Dogs' record and that overall at the end of the segment as well. But as usual, per usual, games we are not betting on and why. Well, Rams +6 to the Cowboys. Cowboys are coming off of 2 slow offensive performances, right? The Niners and then the Chargers, 10 and 20 respectively. And I just don't quite know if I trust them against a formidable Rams defense. You still got Aaron Donald, wreck shop in the middle, in the interior. And then there's still weapons. I know Kyron Williams out, but you still have Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Matt Stafford, veteran guys who 6 is just a lot. I feel like for an offense that has not been playing that well. That's probably why. Next game, Vikings at the Packers. I don't think the Vikings are as good as the Niners, obviously, and they ended up winning. Having said that, I don't know if I quite trust Packers either, considering how terrible Jordan Love has looked. So that's why I'm not betting on that game. Falcons -2.5 at the Titans. I think it's simple. 2 awful teams. I think both these teams are horrendous. I think Desmond Ridder sucks. The fact that the Falcons are they 4-3? I think the Falcons are 4-3, which is absurd. Let me look. Falcons. NFL. I think they're 4-3. Pretty sure. Falcons are 4-3 somehow. I don't know how that's possible because they are horrible. But credits to them. Someone's got to win the NFC South, right? So credits to them on that. But like I said, 2 terrible teams. Again, Saints Colts, 2 awful teams. I cannot confidently bet on Derek Carr. But at the same time, Gardner Minshew's looked actually okay. But I can't. The Saints defense is good too, so that's why we're not betting on that game. I rarely bet against Bill Belichick. When a spread is 9.5, it's just a lot of points to bet against Bill Belichick. It'll be probably good weather in Miami. It was a 7-point game last time. Tyreek Hill's questionable. Offense wasn't great last week. It kind of gives you a blueprint. It gives Bill Belichick his week 1. Dolphins have scored 17 points twice. Once against Bill Belichick and once against. Or no, sorry, it was 24 points against Bill Belichick. 24 against Bill Belichick, 17 against the Eagles. I think Bill Belichick. I just trust him enough to keep it close. That's the main thought process there. And Mac Jones looked pretty good overall last week. That too. Next game, Jaguars Steelers. I think this is the opposite of what usually happens. 2 great teams that I think I think the Jaguars are a bit better, but I don't want to bet. I don't want to bet against Mike Tomlin either. That's partly why that's a problem here. So that's why we're gonna hold off on that game. Eagles -7 at the Commanders. The spread I think is on the money. It was a competitive overtime game last time in Philadelphia. I think it's roughly the same. Eagles have been running through everybody aside from the Jets loss, respectively, and it's the 7-point spread is a lot. Considering the Commanders seem to give the Eagles trouble overall, right? We're talking about giving them their first loss last year, a competitive overtime game this year. Just too much correlation to have me bet more than 7 on the Eagles. The Ravens -10 is a spread that's just it's a lot. It's on the road and it's at an even 10 touchdown field goal. I just don't know if I want to bet more than that, which is kind of why I'm not. The Cardinals were very competitive at the start of the year. They were up. I think they were up in this against the Seahawks this past week. They've been competitive. So credit to them. For at least going out there and fighting. Jonathan Gannon's team. They were up 10-7. Maybe through the second quarter. Couldn't score the rest of the time. I don't think Kyler Murray's playing, but he might. But regardless, the Cardinals have been too competitive of a bad team to have me bet against them. And then, so that's why. Next game, Bears +8.5 at the Chargers. I think the Bears are terrible, but they looked okay last week against the Raiders at +8.5. Or it looked okay against the Raiders last week. Chargers, something just is not clicking with them. I don't know what it is. Offensively, Herbert's been he's been fine, but just not spectacular, respectively. And if we look at their schedule, 17 against the Chiefs, 17 against the Chargers, or Cowboys, 24 against the Raiders, 28 against the Vikings, 24 against the Titans, and then the big game one against Dolphins. Recently their offense has been lower than it has been at the start of the year. And I get it. Cowboys and Chiefs are good defenses. I get it. Just don't quite trust them. And then week 8, or not week 8, the last game of the year, last game of the week, Monday night. The Raiders, they are horrendous. But the Lions just got absolutely steamrolled, bulldozed, everything you can possibly imagine against the what's their name? Raiders. Against the Ravens this past week. Spreads 8. The Raiders are playing with Garoppolo this week. He's back at the starter. Is there a backdoor cover available for the Raiders? I don't know. I don't quite trust. Dave Montgomery's out again this week too. So I got to see it to believe it for the Lions in terms of coming off a huge disappointing loss to rebound and win by basically 10 points essentially. So that's why on that one. But we're going to move on to our first pick of the week. Bengals +5.5 on the road versus the Cardinals. Versus the Niners. I apologize. I think it's simple. The Niners have looked horrendous, scoring 17+ points in back-to-back weeks, and the offense has been overall healthy the last couple weeks. I get it. McCaffrey missed half the game in week 1 or in the Browns game. Debo was out this past week. I fully understand it. Don't get me wrong. But having said that, the Niners and Brock Purdy showed that they were better than what they've done the last couple of games. Throughout the whole 15 games Brock Purdy had won initially. So something seems to be off. I don't know what it is. Brock Purdy's in the protocol. I don't know if he'll start him. It's probably gonna be Sam Darnold this week as well. And the Bengals have been coming on strong recently. They beat the Seahawks last week. I think is a good team, or 2 weeks ago, I believe. But anyway, I trust the Bengals to keep it close. 5.5 is a lot. It's a lot. I know it's on the road, but it's a lot. Second play, Chiefs -7 at the Broncos. This is a snowy game. The Broncos cannot run the ball essentially at all with Javonte Williams, Jaleel McLaughlin, whatever. Russ has actually looked okay, but it's Patrick Mahomes. It's Patrick Mahomes. I get the push for the touchdown cover. He's never lost to the Broncos in his entire career. Never lost a road division game. Why do I trust that he can't win my 7+ in this game? I have no idea. Chiefs -7. Seahawks -3.5 at home versus the Browns. And this is one you might wait and see if you can get at 3. And see if the line will come down to 3 because it's 3.5 and 4 is not a huge difference, but 3 is a massive difference. But having said that, the Browns, There is no way they are winning 3 straight with PJ Walker as their quarterback. I get it, Deshaun started last week for part of the game, but no way they're winning 3 straight with PJ Walker. The Seahawks are a great home team. They've been coming on strong recently. They just beat the Cardinals last week. I get it. They lost to the Bengals the week before, but they're 4-2, and with wins over I don't even know, the Giants, who suck actually, but Panthers, who also suck. Damn, the Lions were good though, and I trust them, man. I trust the Hawks. 4th play, guys. Both these teams suck. The Giants suck and the Jets suck. And this is not on the road. This is not on the road. This is a neutral site. This is a home game for both teams. I just cannot bet on Tyrod Taylor. I really cannot bet on Tyrod Taylor. Scoring 14 points last week, scoring 9 the week before. I think the Jets can score 17 to 20. I think they're playing, and I think they have a really good defense that'll shut down Tyrod Taylor and the Giants. I know Barkley's back, but Barkley was back the last 2 weeks when they scored 14 and 9 respectively. So I trust the Jets this one to get it done. And the last play, this is wrong. This is actually plus 3.5. I apologize. I wrote that wrong. Panthers plus 3.5 at home versus Texans. This is a risky play. I kind of believe that the Panthers are not going to go 0-17. It's just not going to happen. Okay, hate to break it to you if you're hoping for that, Bears fans. But having said that, I get the field goal cover. At some point, Bryce is going to either A, win a game, or B, play in a really close competitive game where it's back and forth down to the wire and like a game-winning field goal. The Saints game was a 3-point game. Let me check the rest of our schedule to verify what they've done. They've got blown out a few times. They've blown out by the Lions and the Dolphins. Vikings was close. They were up in the Vikings game. Seahawks-Panthers game was close for part of it. Falcons-Panthers game was close for the early part of it. At some point, it's going to be a close game, and I think that this, all the narrative is, oh, should the Panthers have taken C.J. Stroud? Stroud's looked great. Should they have taken Stroud over Young? Blah, blah, blah. I think Bryce Young plays well this game. I think they keep it close. I'm not saying they win the game, but maybe they lose on a last-second field goal, something like that. But I think it's close. I do think it's close. So the 5 plays are Bengals plus 5.5 on the road versus the Niners. Chiefs -7 on the road versus the Niners. Seahawks -3 at home versus the Browns. Jets -3 on the road versus the Giants. Well, neutral site, but versus the Giants. And Panthers plus 3.5 at home versus the Texans. So, survivor and lock of the week. Let me move this down here, shrink it a bit. Okay, here we go. The survivor pick this week is the Chargers at home versus the Bears. Now, like I said, guys, I am trying to save they haven't looked great, but the 49ers, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, and the Eagles, and the Jaguars. 5 teams for weeks, by week 11. That's what I'm trying to save, and I can plan it out from there. So there was really a lot of the teams I would have wanted. I would have taken the Dolphins. I would have taken the who were they? I would have taken probably the Eagles, but I don't use them yet. Ravens are a good one, but I already used them. And I already used the Lions. So that's why you basically lose the Chargers, who they're 2-4 and they have not looked great. I think this is tied for Justin Fields is out again. This is Tyjan. I think this is Tyjan back to start again. I think it's a wake-up call for him. Welcome to the NFL game. I think it's close. If not, the Chargers win for sure. And I can get the Chargers out of the way, use them up. As you can see, we used the Ravens over the Texans in week 1, Giants over the Cardinals in week 2, Dolphins over the Broncos in week 3, Vikings over the Panthers week 4, Lions over the Panthers week 5, Bills over the Giants week 6, Seahawks over the Cardinals in week 7. So if we can get this, we're kind of using some good to medium teams here, but we're saving the juggernauts that I like for later in the year. And this has been the best part of the show all year, the Gambling Show all year. So trust me on this one. The lock of the week, guys, we are. You know how they say hitting a 10-leg parlay is insanely impressive. It's also impressive. Getting a 10-leg parlay wrong or missing missing on a 10-leg parlay, but missing on every single leg. Going 0-7 is actually extremely impressive for how bad that is. But it's also very impressive. That's almost hard to do. But nonetheless, our lock of the week this week is the Seahawks -3.5 at home versus the Browns. I already explained it. PJ Walker is not winning the 3rd time. They have a decent defense. I get it. but Geno Smith is going to light them up, and they're not going to score enough. The Seahawks have a good defense. Devon Witherspoon's been phenomenal. Tariq Woolen's been playing well. Jamal Adams will be out there. I like the team. I like the Seahawks team a lot. Okay. Dodson's Dogs. Let me expand this screen here. Okay. ETN has had 2 rushing touchdowns in each of the last 3 weeks. He's playing the Steelers this week. I get it. Tough defense, tough defensive line. They will move the ball enough. He will get in the end zone this week. Jalen Hurts, I believe, has had a rush touchdown in every single game, or most games this year. Let me double check on this one. But Jalen Hurts has had a rush touchdown. He's played 7 games, 6 rushing touchdowns, and a rush touchdown in 5 of the last 6 games. Yeah, to me, that screams bet on a rush touchdown. Listen, they get down to the 1, the 2, the tush push is an automatic touchdown every time, never a doubt, and so that's why I trust that. Number 3 is Michael Mayer over 21.5 total yards. It's not going to be a rush, but that's the line's total yards. But Garoppolo's back this week. Garoppolo played in the Green Bay game and the New England game. And what did Michael Mayer have in those games? 40 yards and 75 yards. The snap percentage was going up consistently over the last couple of games, along with the targets. 3 targets, 6 targets, 4 targets, respectively, over the last 3 weeks, is screaming to me 22 or more total yards. Now, I told you guys I would talk about the Dogs last week in our overall record. We were, I believe, 6-3 or 9-6, 1-2. We are now 11-12. We are now negative. We are now under 500. A 2-1 week this week gets back to 500. 3-0 gets to above 500. And then we can go from there, restart, regroup, and carry on for the last 9 weeks of the year. Is that what it is? I don't know. Anyway, that is going to do it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Really appreciate it. I appreciate all the patience in terms of as we're figuring out scheduling and whatnot for this. But like I said, NFL recap will be out Monday with some culture ball as well. Wednesday will be our NBA weekly recap. Friday will be the game win show as well. Might look into some culture ball on Thursday as well. The rankings come out on Thursday for culture ball. On Tuesday there might be a culture ball show about analyzing the rankings and who should be where and whatnot from the CFP rankings. So keep an eye out for that. Have a nice weekend. Halloween's coming up. Enjoy the weekend and whatnot. And I will see you guys on Monday. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys later.